I am Derek Minakami, and I am on the steering committee of Compassionate Koʻolaupoko, and I'm also the principal of Kaneohe Elementary School. Compassionate Koʻolaupoko is a collaborative initiative between the Kailua, Kalaheo, and Castle complexes of the Hawaii Department of Education, Windward Community College, and the Harold K. Castle Foundation. And our purpose is to help our moku, Koʻolaupoko, become trauma-informed and more resilient so that we can better support the youth in our area. You know, a lot of times when kids experience something at home that's traumatic, the behaviors that they display at school will often be a defense mechanism and will be an aggression, or it might result in depression. So with Compassionate Koʻolaupoko, what we want to do is to turn the tide for those children, to build within them a sense of resiliency, what we call protective factors, so that even though they may experience more trauma in their lives, they can, well, not just survive, but really thrive despite that. One of the big things that we were able to do was provide training for our schools in trauma-informed education. We provided them with opportunities to design their own social-emotional learning program to help support students and teach them about compassion and about how to be a better friend, a better student, a better family member through the design thinking process. We also heard from our community that they want to hear more stories about the good things that are happening in Koʻolaupoko. So we've sponsored a speaker series. So every month we feature different speakers who have their own perspective and their own expertise in the area of trauma and how to address it and how to bring about healing in the community. You know, we're just beginning. We see ourselves as in a very nascent stage where we're coming together, we're learning from one another, but it's creating and sparking this energy. And we feel like we're building a momentum in the community in looking at and getting excited about how we can better help and work with each other to support the youth and to support our families. It's funny because Compassionate Koʻolaupoko is not a nonprofit. You know, we're not a branch of the DOE. It's really just friends who have gotten together to say, hey, you know, let's do something good for our community. Let's see if we can bring other people who just want to do good for our community together. It's more like a potluck party for our neighbors, you know, and I think we really see our efforts and our volunteer work with this initiative more akin to that. It's really about creating a community movement. And so I really am thankful for our steering committee members. I'm thankful for our advisory council. I'm thankful for all of our volunteers who are making this effort happen. A lot of this would not have been possible without funding support and as well as technical support from the Novo Foundation, Education First, the Rockefeller Foundation, and we also have Nale Aloha Foundation who's been supporting our efforts as well. They really have helped guide us, help provide some resources so that we can bring people together and make sure that those conversations happen. If you think about, you know, back at the farm, right? We bring our kids up to the farm and they prepare the lo'i, they plant the kalo. But the kalo that they plant, they will not eat. It's going to be the next generation of students that go to the farm that actually enjoy the fruits of that labor. The kalo that they eat was planted by the kids that were at the farm the previous year. And I think that's what we see happening in Compassionate Koʻolaupoko. You know, we're investing for the future. And it's not to reap any sort of benefit that's immediate, but it's really about strengthening this area so that it can flourish, so it can be vai-vai, so that everyone can be fed, so that everyone can do well. It's not to say that we're going to get rid of trauma, because you're never going to get rid of that. But it's really about giving people the resources and tools so that they can survive that, and they can do better despite that. Over the past 2 years, Compassionate Koʻolaupoko supported schools in developing an SEL practice which was customized for their specific populations. The design thinking process is really founded on listening and empathizing with people who will utilize whatever is designed, whether it's a product or a practice. In our case, we took a look at our school populations. We listened to our school community, our students, our teachers, our parents, our community members. We also go through a rapid prototyping process, and we come in with the understanding that we're gonna fail a lot of times before we actually succeed. And it's through that failure and reflection upon those failures that we're able to produce something that's a lot more long-lasting and a lot more meaningful for members of our community. So for example, Kaneohe Elementary for the past 2 years have developed an SEL practice which is founded on the principles of Aloha. We created an Aloha planner that provides teachers prompts and activities that they can use with their students on a daily basis that teaches them different facets of Aloha. And through cycles of repeating lessons that deepen the understanding of those facets, students gain a much better and stronger understanding of Aloha. And they're better able to practice it then, not only here at school, but also at home. In fact, on one of the waning days of this school year, a student approached me and said, "Mr. Minakami, yesterday I had to tell my brother that he was not behaving with akahai." Akahai means grace. It means to leave someone or someplace better than when you found them. And so he told his brother, "You're not showing grace. You're not being kind. You're not being akahai." And what we found is many students are internalizing these lessons. They're using it to teach their parents, their family members. They're using it on a daily basis to show better aloha to their classmates, to show better aloha to our campus, and to show better aloha to everyone that they encounter. And while we're not done in terms of that design process next year, we want to include parents and families in that learning. We feel that the design thinking process has really helped us to create a better SEL practice that can be embraced by members of our school community and inspire them to further learn about Aloha and deepen their relationships for the better.
Aloha. I think one of the biggest successes we had from our design thinking process that we went through with Compassionate Koʻolaupoko was just that laying the foundation with our summer bridge and our foundations of Aloha, and then throughout the semester continuing it with our Choose Love program, and we embedded foundations of Aloha with that to make it like a Choose Aloha. One specific example is this student. I actually knew her when she was in 3rd grade, and I was a vice principal over at her elementary school, and she was in my office quite a bit. Very bright, a strong spirit, wonderful student who was often in trouble, and it was usually because she was not being nice to her peers and not knowing how to build those friendships in a kind and gentle way. So with that, the summer bridge, which she attended, it laid that foundation. And even though there were a few little hiccups at the very beginning of the year, I think with the Choose Love lessons and the Aloha foundations of Aloha, the Choose Aloha lessons, she really shifted, and by end of second quarter to the remainder of the year, she was actually a model student and being highly successful in all areas. In fact, she even told the PBS counselor who makes the Choose Aloha lessons how much she appreciated them and how they really helped her to stop and think before she says or does something. And she even volunteered to make a video to share with others about her experience and what she's learned and how she's grown from that. Aloha.